Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
He's alive!
Welcome to Where the Weird Ones Are.
Every time I speak, I want the truth to come out.
Powerful figures in Hollywood as well as powerful politicians who are in fact not human. They're reptiles or they're lizards or perhaps extraterrestrials.
I don't think it is a human. I think it's a Sasquatch.
Go ahead and run. Run home and cry to mama.
Let's get weird.
What's up, you fucking weirdos? Welcome to another episode of Where the Weird Ones Are. My name is Kevin, but you probably already knew that, and if you didn't, well, now you do. Today's episode is with Lights at Midnight Podcast. This is the second time they have joined me. We talk about some weird shit. We talk about astral projection, we talk about astrology, and we talk about possession. So Chasity has a story to tell about a gentleman that she knew that was possessed, and she had tried to rid him of his possession. So she tells us that story. Emily tells us a bit about astral projection, her meditation, and Bigfoot is real, bro. She met him in person in the astral realm. So that is interesting. What else did we talk about? We talked about astrology. I learned a little bit more about astrology because I always like to learn new shit. And I think the day that we think that we know everything, I forgot where I was going with that. My mind just went blank. You know how ADHD works? If you don't, that was a really good example of that. I forgot in the mid sentence. I completely forgot what the fuck I was saying. Anyways, it's always good to learn. It's constantly intaking. We constantly intake information, and sometimes it just goes in one ear and out the other. So when you get a chance to actually retain information, especially information that is interesting or that's not stupid, I guess would be the word. But anyways, so if you don't know, Emily is the woman that I'm working on my comic book with. I am still writing it, so I haven't even turned it over to her yet for her to start working on it. But she's working on my t-shirt designs, which if you are on my Instagram, you would see the new t-shirt design that she just gave me. So if you have any graphic design needs, definitely hit her up. She goes by the Fine Art Medium. She has a link tree on her Instagram, so just go there, and wherever you want to get her, she's a super friendly, wicked nice. I will also say this. So they did a past life regression, and they found Emily had found 3 past lives. One of them I was murdered in, so I found that interesting. I always thought that I was like, I don't know. I always feel like, I don't know if it's just because I'm a masculine man, so that, like, I think that I'm tough or something, or like it's my ego, but I feel like I was like very like ruthless in one of my lives where I just killed the shit out of people. I might have been a murderer. I don't know. I just feel like I'm capable of like this extreme violence. Although I've been violent in my past, in this life's past, but not to an extreme of, trying to kill somebody. So, although we do know, I've told you that before in one of the episodes that the only person I've tried to kill is myself. Don't want to do that. It's not good. You don't realize the hole you will leave behind. And you don't know. It's this life is. You know what? If you're still here and you've contemplated, man, I'm so proud of you. That's where I'm gonna go with this. I am so proud that you are still here, and I hope you continue to be here because, like I said, man, you don't know the hole that you're gonna leave behind. And I'm sorry that I went on that this has become this avenue, that I've taken this road on this intro. But seriously, like, you are enough. You are worthy. You are meant to be here. I promise you that. I know it might seem dark and stormy right now, but with every storm, with darkness there is light. And getting through the storm makes you appreciate the sunshine that much more. So I appreciate you for being here. I love you, and I think you're doing a phenomenal job. I was going to say fantastic, but I changed it to phenomenal. So anyways, if you guys want to talk about some weird shit, paranormal experiences, maybe you encountered a cryptid, you want to talk about some conspiracies, lizard people and shit like that, definitely hit me up at wheretheweirdonesare@gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram, where I am extremely active, which is where_the_weird_ones_are. And I want to give a shout out to Farah at the Conversation Cabin, dude. She is fucking killing it over there, man. Also, Mrs. Spooky, Vicky, I appreciate you just being you. And I am so glad that you have gotten through your dark days and you are continuing to try and shine your light. And everybody here, everybody that I know that has talked to you and has met you and stuff, has nothing but nice things to say about you. And I just want you to know that even though we have never met in person, you are appreciated. So, who else do I want to shout out? Weirdsdale. That's a good podcast. You should listen to that. They talk about, I believe it's true crime, if I remember correctly. I've been listening off and on. And Three Siblings Walk Into a Bar. That's another one that I enjoy listening to. Also a true crime. So, with anywho, also, check out fucking Lights at Midnight if you haven't already. I know I really enjoy it. They just released one on the Monday. Today's Monday. Well, this is what I'm recording. Today's Monday that I'm recording this, but it's May 15th, and they just released a new episode, so definitely go check that out. Please, I beg you. But anyways, if you guys want to support this show, please like, subscribe. If you would like to leave a 5-star review, I would appreciate it. You don't have to. Not a big deal. If you don't mind, maybe leave a comment on the YouTube or whatever. Just let me know what you think. But other than that, give everybody a follow. Mrs. Spooky, The Conversation Cabin, Three Siblings Walk Into a Bar, Weirdsdale, 1-0. That's a good one. That's a WON. And Haunts podcast, and then Lights at Midnight, and you'll get to hear these two lovely ladies who I enjoy talking to, and I absolutely adore them. They are lovely, absolutely lovely. Could probably, I could probably talk to them for days, honestly. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoy. I'm sorry that this intro was a bit longer than most. So, with that, I hope you guys have a good day and stay weird.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. And weird get weird.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Where the Weird Ones Are. I have a returning guests here, Emily and Chasity from Lights at Midnight podcast. And I'm really excited to talk to them. So, Chasity and Emily, say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Well, it's lovely to have you guys on again. I really enjoyed our last discussion, and I think I'm going to enjoy this one. For anybody who doesn't know, I'm recording this. I record a lot of these earlier than I put them out, and we're actually recording before their first episode comes out, and it's coming out this Wednesday. But you've heard me talk about the comic book that I'm working on, and Emily is the illustrator and the one who is helping me create t-shirt designs. So I just want to let you know that this is the Emily. This is the fine art medium.
Yes.
So I'm super excited about it. I started writing the script for it, so I'm about 5 pages in right now. So we'll see how it turns out. I hope you like it as well, and I hope that what I write is a good visual for you to make make the art for it. So, anyways, so to get into it, I wanted to talk to Chasity about a possession story that she had, and we never got into it. We actually we ran. I think we might have ran over 2 hours when I had them on. So we ended up having to cut it short before I could ask her. So, Chasity, if you don't mind indulging on your possession story, I would love to hear it as well as everybody else.
Sure. Okay. So I'm going to make this as brief as possible because my story is like time lapsed over about 15 years. And really, I don't think your story ever ends when you experience something like that. Basically, my future husband was my boyfriend. I was dating him from the time I was like 14, and then we separated around 27. First couple years, we never really got to go to each other's house. We were super young. He was 2 years older than me. And I know that by the time I made it to like 15, I had a friend that had a license, and I'm like, all right, we're going to go up here. We're going to see him and his friends, and we're going to go to this haunted road. Okay. It's called Payne Road. And supposedly if you push or put your car or drive your car over the bridge and you stop it or whatnot, it can be pushed off, or you'll have radio interference or something like that. There was a murder house, I think, and this guy supposedly murdered his wife and baby. And that's kind of the brief lore, I guess you could say. So we're 15. I think we ranged from the age 15 to 18, 17. And we all get in my friend's car, including his 3 friends. So we have 6 people in a vehicle. That's how we ride up, when we're teenagers and stuff. And we go out to the road, and it was real eerie. Nothing really happened. I think I think the radio did do a little static or something. And, we know that could be like some type of interference at some point. But at that age, we wasn't really sure. We get back and pretty much everything's fine. We just leave. And on the way back home, because he lived a county above me, so we had to drive 30 minutes to get back home. I was in the back. My friend was in the front driving, and then we had another friend in the passenger seat. Well, pretty much started feeling like something behind me, like something was literally trailing the car. And I never really had this type of experience before. Mind you, I've already released the location. It's not a secret. It's Stokes County, North Carolina. It's known, like the neighboring town is Madison Dry Goods Store. So if anybody ever seen 28 Days Haunted, whole area has Native American roots, war, all kinds of stuff, like really rich history. And we did an actual whole entire episode on this place. It's also known for the Lawson family massacre, which is like a nationwide, I think it happened, Emily, wasn't it 1929, something like that?
Something like that. I honestly don't remember.
Yeah, I normally know, but now I'm, of course, losing my times here. But yeah, it was in the 1920s, I think, and he murdered his whole family on Christmas. Yeah, and it was still a mystery as to why he did it. And they have a museum at the Madison Dry Goods Store with the Charlie Lawson stuff, because that is the funeral. It was a funeral home. First, it was a hotel. Then it was a funeral home. Now it's like a store you can go, a little country store, and get all kinds of stuff in. And they very much cater to the spooky side.
Yeah. I think you told a little bit about this on the first time you were on, but continue.
Okay. So pretty much this area is known for all of that kind of stuff. And then, I feel that thing behind me, and that's when everything started. So moving forward, I think I was about between the ages of 16 and 17, I started to be able to go up and visit him. We'd hang out outside and stuff. And he started telling me stories about how him and his friends, like a lot of people, had seen this black shadow, like, running around the yard, because his parents, they were very strict Christians, and he was not. I'll put it to you that way. He did teenage stuff he didn't want them to know about, or didn't care they know about. He'd go outside and do his thing. You know what I'm saying? So him and his friends would be sitting out there, and something literally just fell in my room. I'm not joking.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
perfect timing.
Forewarning, like I did this story on Emily's channel, but it was a 2-hour ordeal. And me and Emily afterwards, even though I'm nowhere near as fearful or anything like that, when you have something, I'm not trying to get off track here, but I'm just warning.
Yeah.
When you have something this powerful and this much part of your life, it really can come back at any time. And it's like almost energy tunnels.
Yes.
And when you start talking about it, things will start happening. Like I even feel cold now too. And I'm not even trying to exaggerate here. Like no BS, no bullshit.
It was like last time when you guys were on, my Siri popped up talking to me.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
No, I'm sorry. I don't.
I do.
That's horrible memory.
We were talking about Annabelle or whatever, and I was talking about how stupid the doll looked or whatever. And Siri was like, hey, that's not nice.
Yeah, that's scary territory. I got one of those stories too, but I'll save that for another day.
Okay.
But pretty much I ended up seeing this thing, right? And he started telling me about like emotional traumas and everything that they had went through, and ended up his mother and father ended up having some type of emotional fallout, and they'd been together for 20 years. And his mother ended up starting to lose touch with reality. Like, keep in mind, we've been seeing this thing, move back and forth across the yard. And it almost is like, kind of like a zigzag static. It'd go like that. And it was like lightning fast. And matter of fact, we'd see it at this house next door that was abandoned. It was like an old creepy well in the back too.
Oh, wow.
So we thought maybe it had something to do with the house next door, but we wasn't really sure. So once this happened, I was 17 and a half. I was working. I had graduated high school early, and ended up moving in with him because his dad moved out his mom was sick, having like basically a nervous breakdown, and they needed help. We both worked the same job, and yeah, that's when stuff started really happening, like really, really happening.
Mm-hmm.
So probably 2 weeks after I moved in, ended up coming across this puppy, got the puppy, and I made a little like chicken wire pen out for it because it wasn't very big outside while we were at work for 5 hours. Well, that night she had her house and everything and hay. But that night it started to get really cold and started to snow. So when we got home from work, I ended up coming outside or going around the house, getting the pup, and it was already creepy. Like we're already creeped out. And I ended up, let's see, I ended up telling Anthony that, I need you to come open this door. Do not leave me outside. Okay. Do not leave me outside with this thing. Go around the house, grab the puppy, and then I hear crunching in the grass. It's like, and then it goes, and he didn't come to the door right away. Like I'm standing there. So I start beating on the door. When it got up to me, it literally makes like the grudge sound. It's like, and I'm like,
oh my God.
Yeah, I got cold chills even thinking about it. And his mother, that's already like, she was working at a place where she gave out samples, okay? And she was determined that this man named Cedric Gray was following her. So she had triggered the like schizophrenia, we had thought. And she didn't really go to the doctor until later on about it. We were taking care of her. It was a really tough time. And I don't want to go into too many personal details, but the way they split up, something wasn't right. Like something was not right. So moving on, about 3 days later, I had this thought in my mind. I was 17. I don't know why I said this to this woman, and it wasn't nothing negative, but thinking back now, knowing what I know, probably should have never mentioned it, but there's a reason for everything. Okay. So she was washing dishes, she still could do her daily functions, but she just lived in this like illusion world. And we're like, so helping her put away the dishes as she dries them, I'm putting them up. And I'm like, so and so, I about said her name, but that 2 or 3 nights ago I was outside and I heard what I explained to you. And when I made the sound, I'm like, it was so weird because it made the sound like, as soon as I did that, this woman's 5 foot tall. Okay. I'm 5'7". I'm not super tall, but I'm not intimidated by like a 55-year-old 5 foot tall woman. That changed real fucking fast, like real fucking fast. Because as soon as I said that, she literally, it was almost like if she could have stood up on her tiptoes. Okay. And she got real close to me just like this, and her eyes darkened and her teeth, she was just like that. She just, and she screamed at me in false tongues or like another language that she don't speak. So it's what I know now about that is a demonic language. That when you have people that do deliverances in certain Christian religions, this is what I've come to understand, in certain Christian religions, they speak in tongues. Okay. Well, think about that, but in a demonic way. Demons and demonics, they actually, they will speak a certain language when it comes to possessions and stuff. I didn't really understand all that then. All I know is, she come at me, bro. And I was like, God almighty. I just like screamed. I was like, and I run through the house and I throw the dishes on the couch. And I was looking for my boyfriend at the time, and he had ended up being in the bathroom. He was taking a piss. I didn't care. I was like, grabbed him and I was like, your mom's fucking crazy. I think she's fucking possessed. Like, oh my God, what just happened? It was a lot.
Yeah.
It changed my life.
Oh, I bet.
That. Yeah. And of course after we come to understand that, I'm a firm believer in people having medical problems. I'm a firm believer in mental health, but I think there is a fine dividing line between mental health and the paranormal, whether that's in the form of the person actually creating thought forms or picking up attachments or just having, negative energy around. There's so much to unpack in that situation, but in this situation, something did not seem right. it took a long time for her to get better. And there would be times that she would slip back and forth, but the paranormal activity didn't stop.
Yeah.
It just didn't stop. And I mean, she ended up moving out. The husband and wife, his parents, got back together, and we were left living in that house. And I actually ended up purchasing, it was a trailer, actually. Let me just get that right. I purchased the trailer from his parents. And yeah, I mean, the house, I call it the Hinsdale Hell House. And it's not the Hinsdale house. I just call it the Hinsdale Hell House, house from hell. Because we ended up going through so many things. Like, I started getting attacked. I actually lost my great grandmother, which triggered an extreme depression. And that's when I started too much.
Yep.
You know, and just partying. I mean, I was in college. I was working a job. Like, I still did everything I was supposed to. I didn't ever wake up in the morning and need a beer or anything like that. I just partied at night. I partied hard. Like, I went hard, you know. So knowing what I know now, it's probably not the best dealing with a haunting situation. But like I said, this was like right around the time Ghost Hunters would come out. And I was all into it because I had so many paranormal experiences that, you know, I just wanted answers. And I did that for a very long time. And I'm sure a lot of people listening now, they really can relate to this, because if you've been into the paranormal for a while and you're having these paranormal experiences, you, for the most part, guarantee that you're looking at this stuff for answers. And the problem is you rarely ever find them. It's like a constant cycle of like, oh my God, what was that? And now I can't even watch hardly any of it anymore because it's cheesy.
Yes. Yep.
If I'm going to watch anything, it's going to be something that has some substance to it, you know? So, but I was watching stuff like that and everything. And then that's when I started getting physically attacked, and like emotionally attacked. I'd see black blobs and shadows in my room. I know at some point I started waking up with 3 scratches on me. I would close my eyes and see like faces, like the same 3 faces. I mean, it wouldn't be every single night, but I would see the same 3 faces switching. I had no idea at that time that I had psychic abilities. And I know and people, you know, that's just one of the telltale signs, is like, you're more sensitive if you have these things happen. And it's true. Like, it's really true. Unless you have some type of medical condition. At that point, that all had been ruled out from me. There was nothing like that. It beat me down. It did a lot of things. It caused a lot of arguments in my relationship. It caused a lot of things that negative entities do, you know, just without getting extremely into it. And I mean, we suffered quite a bit with that. My husband at the time, he ended up having the same issues. He was never physically touched, but he would see stuff all the time. And I mean, it was just overwhelming. It really attacked our emotions. It really, you know, we would see things and stuff, and it would be real creepy. Like, I would hear the craziest shit outside, like things you wouldn't even think of. I mean, I know one time his cousin saw something, he went and called it out. They were all partying and stuff. He's like, "Oh, big man, come on, get you some. Let's see you." This thing, like 9 foot tall, literally, he says, walked up to him with red glowing eyes, and they were out in the car, and he run back to the car, jumped in the car, and locked the door. So this thing was no joke. Like, it was no joke. And at least 20 people at this point had seen something. And no, we wasn't taking hallucinogenic drugs. Okay. So I'm serious. Like, we thought it ended up actually splitting us up, in my opinion, like between our problems and stuff, and then the pressures of that. And like, when you have these types of issues, it tends to create illusion in your life. It tends to create problems really where there shouldn't be, or things you can't process and work things out like you normally should. And that's a common sign of something evil being in your life trying to ruin your marriage. I mean, and when you have like the criteria, if you meet the criteria. Now, I'm not saying that's always the case for people that split up, but I just want to be very clear about that.
Right.
So I ended up splitting up with him and everything, and got back together. You know, I've had kids and things kind of settled down, but ultimately, no. And that's when me and him finally split up, when I was 28 or 27. And I ended up getting into another relationship with my current fiance. And I was still in touch with my ex because we have children together, and we tried to do the friend thing. He ended up having another girlfriend and all that stuff, and she was rotten. Like, she brought something in, but we realized too, one thing I've left out is his brother used to practice not just Satanism, but he was like a devil worshiper. Like, and he did rituals when he was 16 and stuff. And we feel like that
In that house?
I don't know if it was in that house or not. I don't think so. Oh, wait a minute. No. He did it in the woods next to the house.
Yeah.
For sure. And even the people, I did leave this out too, because I'm trying to paraphrase. I'm sorry, but the neighbors would see stuff too. Like, we'd see orbs and all kinds of stuff. Like, and I won't get into what happened to one of my neighbors at this point because it's a very sensitive subject. Let's just say that he was no longer with us, an older man. And then I feel like overall people in the area were suffering from it. But yeah, we ended up, moving away from that area. Things were okay. I still saw stuff, like, no matter where I go, and I just kind of put it off. And then right around the age of 30, like I said, we were hanging out and chilling. His brother came back into the picture and moved in with my ex-husband with that girl there. And then that's when things started happening again. Like, in my ex-husband's house, we still have like an energetic tie. We have children together. He's a huge part of my life. I was with him for 14 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, things started happening again, especially once the brother left on bad terms. I do not think the brother still does what he did when he was a teenager, but once you open that door and you do not close it, I mean, you have to try to close it. And even if you do, it doesn't mean anything. Whatever follows you around, it spreads out. It's like a fucking infection. It's like an infection. And yeah, that's when things started happening with my ex-husband. And he went through the same thing his mother did, like 14 or 15 years prior.
Oh, no.
And this is when it started to kind of happen again. And that's kind of how I ended up. He ended up leaving that house because I'll put it to you this way. Things were making noises and stuff. And I didn't believe him at first. I'm like, he's kind of lost it. But when he started living in that kind of fantasy world and thought this, that, and the other, that is when I realized, okay, I need to go over there. And this is when I had started my journey, my awakening, and like really honing in on my abilities, like just a little bit, just a tiny bit. That's when he left that night, we got everything out of the house. And I said, you're not to follow my family. You're not going to follow my family at all. And you're not to come, just leave us alone. That shit was going da, da, da on the fucking walls. Like, it was almost like it was in his closet, but it was like beat on the floor, just up and then da, 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 like, watch me, bitch. Well, watch me, bitch. It come home with me. I believe it was connected to the same thing because it's never been put to bed.
Right.
It's never been fucking laid to rest. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I had to deal with that. I saw it manifest in my room after this. I know it tried to possess me, and it did influence me. I was under influence because of the stuff that I was doing. And it took me a long time to realize that. It took me so long to kind of really, realize that. And overall, I've had it's an ongoing situation, but really the finale to it, I've cut a lot out. I've tried to keep it brief, but the finale to this is he finally gets better after some time. And same place he lived. It was in a trailer park, 3 houses up. We had a friend there that lived there when my mom actually did. And I went over with her one day to visit because we were family friends. And the son, about 5 years younger than me, roughly, they found out that, and this is like a year ago, they found out that I have abilities, and they're like, well, what do you see in my house? And I'm like, I don't want to ask that question because everything that just happened was literally 75 feet from where they live.
Yeah.
So yeah, anybody that knows anything about paranormal, it's not always contained to just one dwelling. It can, like it has a radius basically that it can function in, or even through space time. It just depends on what it is.
Right.
Well, I start to pull in. I close my eyes. I start to pull in, and I start to see like a goatish looking evil thing. and they hadn't told me anything. And I'm like, I'm starting to see, this goat entity with a long, people would relate it to Baphomet, but I don't think it was Baphomet at all, honestly.
Well, so Baphomet has been used to further the evil narrative, but from what I've heard, he's not really evil or good. He's more like neutral.
I will say this. Baphomet, when you look in terms of, I'm trying to get too sidetracked because this is the finale here, okay?
Right.
But Baphomet, this is my perspective. They do say that. But the one thing that I personally have an issue with is they say that Baphomet is the baptism with fire. Okay. So it's a purifying thing, right?
Yep.
And like, it's great. Well, the only problem for me is like, I work with Jesus Christ. Like, that's me. I'm not a Christian, but I work with Christ energy. I have no problem saying that. There's all kinds of energy you can work with. I chose that because of my personal path and what I had happen to me when I was younger. And the only thing I have an issue with is also too the Holy Spirit, which is what comes in and cleanses you, is a baptism with fire. So, and when you think of that good versus evil, it is a mockery of the Trinity.
Okay.
And that's my biggest problem with it. That's just me.
I got you.
I don't know if a lot of people know that, but I mean, I'm sure a lot of people do if you study it, but people just getting into this, I want that to be known, because you need to really do your research. I might disagree with some people's beliefs, but I'm not going to be like, like Jessica, she works with both sides. I personally don't, but I love Jessica. I love her. She's a great person. I'm not going to be a hater, but I mean, that's just my personal opinion and belief.
Yeah.
So when you think about it and you know about the history, they say that it tries to mock and do all kinds of things. You can kind of get into things that you just got to be careful and do your research. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
But yeah, so sitting there and I start telling what I'm seeing, back to the finale. And all of a sudden, I say it and the mother's like, "Oh my God, it's that demon." I was like, Jesus Christ.
Fuck.
And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make light of this, but it is kind of funny. And then, that was just like, oh, and then the son sitting over here in the corner is like, just goes into a emotional panic. And I'm like, fuck. Don't ask if you're not ready to receive.
Right,
exactly. What I was seeing. And keep in mind, I was 75 feet from where that thing was beating on the walls and shit. Well, so I'm trying to calm them down. I'm like, look, it's okay. And then they're in a tizzy. So then I was like, look, he's literally crying now at this point. Like, he's slightly autistic. You would not know this. I do know this about this guy. He's slightly autistic, highly functionable, but he does have some emotional triggers. Okay. So I will say this. And because I want to be completely transparent. I don't want to make it out to be something, But this is where the lines kind of blur for me. So I was like, can I walk through your house? Because I just felt a certain way. Where I was fine. But I'm like, can I walk to your bedroom, the guy? He's like, yeah, sure. As I'm in the living room and I start to walk to that hallway, the pressure starts increasing. And mind you, I'm fairly strong in my abilities at this point. Like, I'm solid. Not as solid as I thought I was, but I was, like, to a degree at this point. And I'm walking through, like, air water at this point. It's pushing me back. Like, don't do it. Bitch, don't come back here. I walk directly to his bedroom, go in his bed, and his bed is like the epicenter for energy. Now, I'm very well aware of thought forms and how you can manifest things literally with your mind through your fears and all that. I'm like taking everything in consideration here, but I'm like, look, let's try to show him that it's okay. I'll pray for you. Let's bring in God's love and light. Let's put this ball of energy around you. Let's calm down. And I'm like, come on back here. We're going to pray and get this, get this energy moved out, trying to calm him down. But I also believe in that. I believe that it would help soothe the situation. No. It intensified it tremendously. And
Ugh.
this is where you kind of throw all your shit out the door type stuff. This is where you realize, like, wow, this shit's really, really, really happening. It's really, really real. I start to pray for him, put my hand on his shoulder, and I start praying. All of a sudden, he's like, oh my God, I've got to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking he's had to take a tinky. No, 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 no. He starts literally having a big number two, like you can hear it throughout the house. Like he is expelling shit. And I'm like, this is not good. I go back in the room after he's done, because I was standing in his room, the bathroom's next door. I thought he was tinkying. No, no, no. I just left. So I go back in his room, give him his privacy. And there's a box with, like, this is really weird. And I don't know if he did this, honestly, or this was part of what was happening. But there was a box with a G.I. Joe that wasn't there before. 2 G.I. Joes. One was standing up and one was laying down. I'm like, did you do this? He's like, no. And I'm like, I didn't believe him. I was like, bullshit. You did this. Come on. I'm like, all right, let's start this again. Start praying for him. And all of a sudden, I feel like he wants to attack me. Like, if he could scratch my eyeballs out, he would tear them out of my face. And I'm like, all right, here we go. And I'm like, do you want to hurt me? And he's just standing there, like, solemn, just like this. And he's like, no, but he does. And I was like,
holy fuck.
And I'm like, okay, all right, I'm done with this shit. I'm not playing anymore. I'm like, let's get out of here. We got to go. And that whole, I'm getting cold chills. And that whole hallway had 2 rooms and a bathroom. So, and that whole hallway was like engulfed in this just thick energy. And I felt if we could get out of that energy at the very, very, very least, it would try to calm down, because at this time I didn't really understand 100% what was going on. I had a pretty good idea. Now I've done enough research and just everything, I've really realized what happened. We got to the very last door in that hallway, and he was making it, but it wouldn't let him leave the hallway, and he turned into that room. And he had his snake cage in there. He had a little kind of 3-foot long corn snake, adorable, cute. And he was standing there looking at it, and he just started rocking back and forth. And he's like, nobody loves me. Nobody cares about me. I'm worthless. And I'm like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Come on. He's like, I don't feel so good. And he just goes, wow. Hits the floor. Luckily, he's like 6'2", kind of skinny. I was able to actually grab him by his hoodie and help him lower down, because if not, he would have went from this to wow and hit his head and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, mama, now, because she was CNA. So I'm screaming for my mother at this point, naturally. And like, I'm on the floor and he's just out cold, just done. And I'm thinking he's having a medical episode, like possibly, but honestly, I'm like, shit's getting ready to get real. But I had a very minimal time to think. My mom runs in there and she gets on the floor and she's like, hey, get up. And all of a sudden he starts doing this. And he just does a full revolution all the way around. And I'm like, mama, get up. Bless her heart. She couldn't get up fast enough. I'm like, mama, get up. And before she could, this guy, he's small, but he's tall. He took one arm from a leg, because he did a whole revolution, took one arm and did this to my mother, which is like 2 times bigger than him. She flew back and hit the wall, which it's about 5 or 6 feet, flew back and hit the wall.
Holy shit.
And I was like, oh, fuck. And when he did that, he went from going, I don't feel so good. He went to starting to total voice change, full blown manifestation of the entity that was affecting him, full on possession.
Holy shit.
Never in my life. This time it's been, let's say I was 17, been about 13 or 14 years since I've dealt with something like this. And I'm proud to say I didn't run like a bitch. I just started praying. I told him Archangel Michael was going to come, and I said, and all kinds of stuff. And in the moment, I can't remember all I said, but I just started in on it. I really did. This thing, he could have got up off the floor at any time, but whatever was there with me, I say whatever, I know what was there. Whatever was there with me it was protecting us, because his eyes, everything, you're when you see people like this, they get real, everything changes. It wasn't super dark shadowed like before, but I mean, he was constant like this, and when he talks, it's just like, whatever. And I started to realize, I'm like, I know who you are, familiar spirit. And this thing says to me, I know who the fuck you are too, bitch. I'm like,
fuck.
Yeah. So I'm like, it was bad. It was bad. And it lasted for like 2 hours. And who are you gonna call? I'm the fucking Ghostbuster. Yeah, I'm the fucking Ghostbuster. Who am I gonna call?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I had to sit there, and I took his mama come in there, and we all started praying and stuff. And I mean, and he's having a full-fledged conversation with me, because I'm going at it. Me and this guy that is no longer this guy is going at it. I said, Archangel Michael is coming for you right now. And he's like, the sword is falling. It's just really, really weird shit.
Holy fucking A.
I'm like, and thinking back on it, you see my face. Like, it still fucks with me, but and ultimately made me stronger in the end. But yeah, so his mama brings me a crucifix. I take that crucifix and I go, wow. And I keep praying, and he passes out again. Right.
Yeah.
And he wakes up, and he's like, back to him kind of, but he's real groggy and tired. He's like, what happened? I'm so tired. What happened? Like, he's talking just like this. And, we went from God to that. I know people have multiple personality disorders, but this is some shit. Like, if he was pretending, then he needs to go work for the movies.
Yeah.
Because this shit was way too wicked. Unfortunately, it happened again. Once he got back in his, we went back into his mama's room, and all sat on the bed. There was me, my mother, her boyfriend, his mother, her boyfriend, and me. So it started in again, and it was saying things like, God is dead. There is no God. He can't save you. I mean, blasphemy, nasty, laughing, like, like really bad mockery. Just, it was disgusting. Yeah. It was disgusting. And it took 5 at that point, like, he tried to start getting physical. It took 5 of us to hold him down. The last thing we were able to do, this lasted for 2 hours. We were able to get the Bible out, because at that time, there's a lot of different practices and stuff, but I do a lot of things in Jesus's name, and it works. That's my preferred method. There's other ways I handle stuff, have an eclectic view, but there is a very strong power in Jesus' name. 100%. Yes. I will never deny that my whole entire life. And if you do that, if you don't think so, that's cool. I'm cool with it. But that's my approach. And finally, once we got the Bible out and we started reading the Lord's Prayer and like placed it on him, it stopped. And I hung around. I called some churches because I didn't know who to call, because I'm like, he needs a fucking deliverance. And I was calling it exorcism. But at the end of the day, after doing tons of research and everything, he's fine. I don't know if that's happening again. The woman blocked me and all kinds of stuff. I just prayed for her son.
Did your light just fall over?
Yes.
Oh my God, I heard it.
It fucking busted too.
Oh,
it's not busted. It's just the plastic part that came out.
And strangely, I've been feeling like something's been standing right here.
You?
Yeah, for me, on my side.
That's fun. Is it negative or positive?
It kind of just feels like it just feels heavy, so it's probably not good.
I don't know. Can you see it, Chasity?
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm. I don't see things as much through screens as I do in my mind's eye.
Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah.
Yeah. I will sometimes, but at the same time too, though, if I have my defenses up, because like right now my defenses are up, I'm not, unless something happens physically here, I'm not going to see it, because where I've been cutting my abilities on and off, unless I know I'm working on something, I can block all that out now, which is a blessing. And I mean, but it doesn't take but like that to cut it back on.
Yeah.
I'm just moved over there too, but it could have been me. But yeah, so haven't talked to the guy. I do still get a really weird feeling around him. And it's not because I'm scared of him. It's just, and I really think that it is tied to whatever was at the very least in that last house my ex-husband moved from. The energy felt familiar. And I think, that kind of concluded the fact that I started to understand what deliverance really is, that, some people have things seated inside of, for example, like we were talking about this in our upcoming episode, like your chakras and stuff. And people can actually have things that hide and or attach. You can have attachments like internally, externally, all kinds of ways. And it's more people maybe than you think. And people manifest a lot more than you think. And it comes through from trauma and emotions. And it's not always, in my opinion, a demon. Okay.
Yep.
Like I believe in all kinds of things. So you can have a parasite attached to you. You can develop thought forms. You can have the lower demonics, upper level demonics or devils, like, and all that's in between. Like, it's not just things that are created by like Native Americans, which would be a thought form, and they all fall in different categories. I mean, unless I'm really working on a case, I don't give a fuck what its name is or whatever. I try to figure out enough about it so I know how to get rid of it. They say there's power in the name, and there is a truth behind that. But at the end of the day, if somebody's having a deliverance, you don't need their name. You don't need its name. And that's just in certain religions. Everybody has their own opinion. I'm not here to say anybody's wrong because we don't really fully know. We just have seen what works.
Yeah.
But ultimately, in a very small nutshell, that is my whole entire possession story. I do feel it was similar energy. Felt like even though Anthony still had his same problems, and he still has problems to today, like my kids tell me stories and I'm ready to go up there and cleanse the house because mama don't play that shit.
Right.
Okay. I'll kick an entity out from my house, out of somebody else's house, and can do it to a degree, and a good degree. But one thing that people have to understand is like they have to make changes.
Yes.
If they don't make the changes, if you don't take the steps to secure yourself and better yourself and protect yourself, I can't protect you as well. I can make it stop, but you're going to keep bringing it back. What's up? You keep looking around, Emily. You hearing
Because
something?
I know what it is, but I also was hearing things outside, but I know exactly what it is and who it's from.
Tell me.
Well, I don't want to say it out loud on. Let's just say it has to do with a certain person we were talking about this morning.
Oh.
Because they're messaging me again.
Yeah.
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 Well, I'm out of the loop.
Yeah,
that's
having
okay.
Issues. We're just having issues with somebody right now and it's not like big issues. It's just some cutting ties, and they have some problems, and their actions have led us to believe that they've not been honest, and they do have something going on. Okay. But the problem is they're not willing to work on them, and they have treated us and some of us in not very nice ways and have been very demanding of our time. And, we believe in boundaries, we believe in respect, and we do everything that we can do to help people. And just because we couldn't completely help somebody doesn't mean we're going to like that. Yeah. But if you're going to be disrespectful and not understanding of other people's boundaries and continually borderline, I'm not going to say harass, I'm going to say borderline harass people into having your company, you're going to get cut the fuck off.
Yes.
So we love everybody, but we're going to love this person from the distance. Okay.
Yep.
Bless
Understandable.
All right.
Tits. I can literally, it's just annoying me because I can feel it. It's so heavy, and it just feels like the pestering of like, you need to do this. You need to do this. Why won't you do this? And it's annoying.
Oh man, I'm
sorry. I can hear it in my ear, and my ear's ringing.
Oh.
But yeah.
Take a moment, kick that shit out. If you have to.
Do you need a minute?
Yeah.
I can stop recording so you can deal with it real quick.
I want to go get that sage spray.
Yeah, could we take a moment so she can handle that? Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because I keep getting distracted, and it's...
All right, so that was the break. That was a fun break. Did you get rid of your heaviness over there, Emily?
I did. He went bye-bye.
Perfect. So what experiences have you been experiencing as of recently, Emily?
So I'll start with last night, which is technically early in the morning today, but because I didn't sleep, I'm just gonna say it was last night. But so before I went to bed, Chas actually sent me an article about this dog that they found in Kensington, kind of somewhat near where I live. And pretty much I think it was a drug addict person. I don't know what they were doing, but I think they were found dead and the dog was found with them. And they had to revive the dog because I think the owner gave the dog drugs and they had to revive it with Narcan.
Wow.
It's fucked. It's so sad. But then last night I went on the Astral realm and I actually met the dog and I'm like, oh my God, you're so cute. And it's like this little, I don't know if it's like a Bichon mix or something, but it was literally this big. And it was so like sad and just wanted love. And so I just held it and gave it hugs. But yeah, I love meeting animals on the astral realm. It's not something that happens often, but when it happens, I get excited.
What kind of animals do you mainly come across on the astral realm?
So it's funny, my dog Ghost, he actually astral projects with me sometimes.
Oh, no way.
So he does. I've come across squirrels, crows, and some other like I think I've met a whale and I'm trying to think what else. I think there was a time where I met an elephant and I did see this is crazy, but I did see a dinosaur. So sometimes when I'm walking in the state forest around my area, I somehow just connect and I can kind of see like I don't know, years and years and years in the past. And that forest is always a trigger point. So I can see dinosaurs and things that were around like 100,000 years ago. It's so weird.
Wow.
And then 2 days ago, I think it was Friday night or Saturday, I forget. But I was channeling and I was asking my guides about tulpas, which if you don't know what they are, they're a thought form, but it's a kind of thought form that is usually purposely created. And it has to do with a good example would be like, let's say you're working on a book and you really want to bring a character to life. Well, if you put enough intention and thought into it, you can literally create a character. But the problem is it takes on a dramatic sense of emotions or just like personality. So in that regard, it kind of is then like a poltergeist that's been manifested on purpose in a way. And so those things can become very dangerous. And it's not something I really advise. But so, yeah, I was asking my spirit guides about it. But while I was trying to talk to them, Chastity's clients, one of the entities that is attached to them, tried to get in my face. And while that happened, I mean, it kind of like got in my face and was staring at me. And I'm just like, so Shiva, what would you do in this circumstance? And he grabs it in a chokehold by the neck and just like holds it away. And I was like, okay. But then another thing came and I like to have like a sword on the astral realm. That's like my weapon. That's like my favorite thing because I collect swords. And this other thing came and so I went whoosh and the neck and the head popped off and then it exploded with gold light. So that was fun.
That's pretty interesting. So what do you do to make yourself astral project? Is it like a meditation or?
Yeah, it's usually a meditation. You can do it when you're awake or when you're asleep. I can do it both. I can do whenever I want, really.
How long do you normally do it when you do?
It's different every time. So like if I'm doing it when I'm sleeping, it'll be the entire time I'm sleeping, or if I'm meditating. So I do My meditations are usually about 1.5 to 2 to 3 hours. So I'll do that.
That's a long meditation.
I know, I like meditation so much.
So what do you like just focus on on the specific topic of astral projection while you're meditating?
So it depends what I want to do it for. So if I want to speak to my guides, I kind of just blank out my mind and then put that intention of speaking to my guides, and then usually bam. Or if I want to go somewhere, like if Chas is like, hey, what do you see here? Then I'll do it and be like, okay, I see this, this, and this. Or like if I'm doing a psychometry reading, which is pretty much reading an object's energy and being able to get like any information off of it. So I can do that and based off an object. So practice, I'll usually have someone give me an object and I'm blindfolded because I don't want to know what the object is. Because I don't want that to interfere with me trying to connect, because if my brain starts like guessing what it is, then it's kind of like it gets in the way. So for example, let's say they give me a pen, I'll just hold it with my eyes closed or with the mask over my eyes and just concentrate on the energy and it'll take me wherever it's been.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
So it all depends.
So have you ever encountered anything that scared the shit out of you?
Yes. I had this one client that I help occasionally, and there was this time where I astral projected looking to see what the entity was so I could help him get rid of it. And well, this person has a lot of things going on because they're also a medium. They just don't know how to tap in correctly, I guess. And they're very new, so they're just learning. But so I remember I astral projected and it took me to my aunt's house. And I think it's because that's one of my comfort places. And it picks, sometimes negative entities will try to infiltrate your comfort areas because it's more disturbing and you have that insecurity kind of feeling. But so I remember just walking through her house and then it's like in the corner, I saw it, but I didn't register it right away. I was just like, that's bright red, and there's nothing usually bright red in her house. And then I looked at it again, and it was this red, like this bright red entity, and its smile was like this with really sharp teeth, and it was freaky.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have to like banish it?
So I went after it, but it disappeared. So I wasn't able to like go after it in that, time, but I did banish it with candle work then. And so that thing hasn't returned as far as I know.
Oh, that makes me think of like the Cheshire Cat of Alice in Wonderland.
But pictured on like a red demon thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But the big grin and then the disappearing. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that sounds like the Cheshire Cat, but it's probably 10 times scarier.
Worse. Yeah.
So I know we wanted to talk about astrology. So I wanted to ask what is the significance of your sun, your moon, and your rising?
Okay. So pretty much your sun sign is your personality. Like that is you altogether. That is your just what you're known for. Okay. Your moon sign is more of what's on the inside. And the sun sign is basically you. Okay. The moon sign is your subconscious. So conscious, subconscious, because you have the sun is a masculine energy. The moon is a feminine energy. You have light, you have dark, the whole duality perspective. And pretty much your rising sign is basically how the outside world will perceive you, how the outside influences will perceive you. So as you go through your life, the things you will encounter and stuff like that. And ultimately it gets a little bit more in depth, but astrology is a very hard hobby It's a hobby in a way.
Yeah.
It's a lifelong learning thing. So technically we have all the signs in our chart. Okay. So everybody in some way possesses some quality from every zodiac, every planet, and every house. So when you look at an astrology wheel, it's 360 degrees. You think of the center being Earth, you, or you, and you have your natal chart. So your date of birth, place of birth, time of birth. You can plug that into a chart. It used to be done all on paper back in the day, but we're blessed to have, help with all that now. So you can use programs and figure it out. And what it does is it gives us an idea of where the planetary bodies, because it's also including asteroids, and even like some archetypical points in the sky, or even mathematical points in the sky, like your ascending and descending. The ascending sign is the ascend, what we were talking about. Then you have a descending, so everything kind of has an opposite in that way. You have like a midheaven, and the opposite on the bottom. You have a vertex, which is like a point in your chart that's destined, and there's a like a retrograde vertex on the other side, and that has to do with a lot with the moon and stuff like that, and where the moon was, because the moon is moving kind of in and out and up and down too, just like us. So that's all kind of figured out with that. So depending on where, each planet has an archetypical quality. So like Venus, or let's use Mars for example. Mars is like action, in a sense, and then war. So it has like, the duality to it. And astrology is it kind of lays your life out. It is kind of your destiny in a way. Okay. So even though it still abides by free will. Okay. So let's say, I'll use myself as an example. My moon sign. So your moon sign, where it's subconscious, it tells a lot about your intuition. And it's very, the moon is ruled by Cancer, for example. And if you go in the zodiac, so the houses are 1 through 12, there's 12 zodiacs. Okay. And it starts with Aries and it ends with Pisces. So the houses, the numbers of the houses are representative by different things. So the third house is represented by Gemini, which is the house of communication and like, just that kind of stuff. Like Mercury. Mercury is ruled by Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, which is currently in retrograde, which means communication, which makes sense why Emily's having issues with communication right now with people from her past coming back.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. So wherever those placements are or whatnot, my moon per se is in the 12th house in Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. And it's the 12th house is like your highest spiritual connectivity, your innermost subconscious, like where you connect to the divine, where you connect to the spirit realm. And that is where my moon is. Okay. So, and my moon is already intuitive, like it's a double, triple dose really of intuitiveness. And that's part of what makes me more apt to be more intuitive according to astrology, because the 12th house is ruled by Pisces, which is also a water sign, because Cancer and Pisces are water signs. Water signs are known to be more empathic and all encompassing in terms of being psychic. Like it's more of like an empathic ability, a natural ability to be able to tap into that world, a natural ability to be able to astral project to places. Like I just did this with my client for her haunting. Like it showed me her room, her living room, described it all to her. And I did it really, really quick because my Mercury's in my 12th house too. And you have different aspects. So you have sextile, you have soft aspects and you have hard aspects. So soft aspects are like good flowing positive energy, like a sextile or a trine. So a sextile is how many degrees it's apart. One planetary body to another is apart. Okay. And then for example, the trine, I think that's 30 degrees. I get that backwards. I think sextile 60 and a trine's 30, or it might be backwards. Hard aspects are things like squares. So when you think about in nature, generally, it doesn't follow 90-degree angles. But when you have a square, it is two opposing planetary bodies at a 90-degree angle, okay, which forms a challenging aspect. As we have our natal chart, that is set in stone. Then we have transits that move around these things that affect our everyday lives. They are energy. They are magnetic fields that extend out to Earth. They are just in general planetary energy. This stuff's been studied for thousands of years and documented and refined and, labeled and all that kind of stuff. Some people don't like it. Some people think it's evil. I think it's God's like machine. I think it's God's engine that keeps things running for people. The thing about astrology is, these transits make stuff kind of happen. Think of the transit as linear time in a way. And as things transit through your life, they travel through the houses. Each house has a different meaning, which talks about where it's going to happen in your life. Planets and stuff, they're going to talk about how it's going to happen or the influence is going to happen. And then, just time in general when it could happen. You can look in the future with astrology. You can look in the past, and you can look at the present. It is in a way, a fortune telling thing. Now, let's talk about the destiny part real fast. We still have free will, but things that we're destined to do will happen. And it doesn't matter.
Soul contracts, like soul contracts and whatnot.
Yes, you can think of your natal chart as your soul contract. That's a great example. I'm not going to say they're exactly the same, but pretty much. Okay. Yeah, you're exactly right. So that point in time, that's always there. Then you have the outside wheel. That's the same stuff, the transit, and it just shows you where stuff's going to happen. The destiny part, you're still going to get there. It doesn't matter if you take path A or B or C or Z. It doesn't matter. But the way you perceive these energies, because cosmic energy is neutral, it is not positive or negative. It can have positive and negative attributes. Your vibration syncs up with its vibration, and where you choose to go is where you'll go. So you either go down into the war part of your life where you're like, want to fight and you're done, or you'll go up into the action. You'll take action and you'll resolve your problems. So, I mean, that's kind of just as an example of how astrology works in a nutshell. I mean, if you have any more questions, I'll do my best to answer. But I know you asked just for the sun and rising and moon, but it's important. I mean, that's like a crash course 101 astrology for those that just don't know what it is.
Okay. So, Emily, what are your 3 signs?
I'm a Capricorn. My moon is a Libra. And I think my rising's a Capricorn too.
So, with those 3 signs, what are those 3 signs? What are they?
2 earths and air.
Okay. All right. So with that, what would I guess when you're reading somebody, what would with her signs, how would you describe her personality?
Me? Okay, so that's how I knew when I got her chart. Well, I already knew before, but it validated it with her chart that she was extremely connected to, Earth, Earth energy. And basically she has a double Earth sign, which is clairsentient abilities, meaning that she has clear feeling in her body. Libra is an air sign, which is claircognizant. And it basically will, and that's a lot to do with it, but you actually have to look at other aspects. Like you can look at Neptune, for example. Emily, are you okay with me sharing one piece about your chart?
Yep, go for it.
Okay, so Emily has a triple conjunction in her 12th house, which again, I've just explained what that meant.
Right.
And it's Uranus, or people call it Uranus, okay? And Neptune and Mercury, and it's all in her 12th house. So I have astral experiences. I have dreams. Emily has more vivid astral experiences, bigger types of dreams. And the difference between me and her with that is she's able to like get there. I'm able to get there fast with more earthly like stuff. And I don't normally deal with animals and stuff like that at this time. It's just something I'm not called to do as much. Do I see them sometimes? Yes. But Emily's more connected with that, with all that in her 12th house, because she's more connected to Earth. Okay. With all that in her 12th house, she has that triple conjunction, which means that they overlap each other almost by the exact same degree. Mercury's the house of communication. Uranus is the house of chaos and change and upheave. And then Neptune is the house of dreams and illusions. And just like you think of the floating Neptune. So you combine all those 3 things in this 12th house of where we connect the most with the other side. I mean, there's other houses that have the ability to do this too. Just example, you take all 3 of those abilities. So chaos and change, okay? What is it? Communication and like dreams. And you put that in the 12th house. That is Emily. That shows Emily's ability to be able to do this type of stuff. I can prove that everybody has psychic abilities, but not everybody's going to get to that level of being able to really hone in on them. They may just have a sixth sense. Most people need to shoot for just having the sixth sense. Everybody can't do that kind of stuff, but we can do it and navigate our own personal life with it. And with the way that I can read people's astrology charts, I can go in and pick out all kinds of stuff and give them a good idea about, like, because I'll do a reading before I even, like, a initial reading before I even plug in that information and see what I pick up about my client.
Yep.
But then when I get that, I can confirm and validate with them that, hey, this is what you have, this is what you have, this is what you have. Me and Emily didn't start really talking. Emily just reached out to me one day and offered to make me a logo. And I was like, oh, cool, that's really nice. Well, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to send you a necklace. And then we just kind of became friends, you know?
Uh-huh.
And one of the first things I did for her, because I was in the process of developing this and learning how to do this, is I did this for Emily. And Emily says that it's helped her quite a bit. It's helped her understand, you know, her abilities. So astrology is a very important thing. It takes a lifetime to really master, because you got to think you have 12 houses, you know, multiple planetary bodies depending on what you want to keep in there, and then you have 12 zodiac signs, and you have different, you know, seasons, and you have different, it's just so much that has a different mathematical, if you want to look at it in that terms, combination. So that's kind of the nutshell for that.
That's interesting. So I think I might have told you the last time you guys were on, but so I'm Sagittarius.
Mhm.
Actually, you told me that you sensed that I was Sagittarius, but so
Yeah.
I'm Sagittarius and Gemini moon and a Leo rising.
So yeah, that's you're a Leo moon, that's a fire sign. That means that's why you're seeing stuff and like in your space. And I would have to know where your Leo moon falls on that chart to give you more details, but I'm banking the fact that you naturally will see stuff and with your moon sign. And then your
Oh, the moon is Gemini.
Oh, Gemini. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you said Leo. Yeah, Gemini's air sign. So scratch that. Okay, look.
Oh, that's what I didn't know about. So I was like, I know I have two fire signs. So because the Sagittarius, I'm sad. My personality is Sagittarius, and then the moon is the Gemini, and then the Leo is the rising.
Yeah. So scratch that. We're gonna start over. Take all that information, put it on your sun sign. Okay. So you still will be able to see things, and then your rising sign, of course, is, you know, a fire sign. So you'll be able to really see things, but then you claircognizantly just know stuff. Very smart. Like, it makes you a very, like, witty, quick-witted person. There's not nobody that if you really want to get a word in on edgewise, you're going to get it. Okay. But also too, it's something that you may repress and hold back. Like, you, at times, like sometimes it might just blurt out. And sometimes you just really stew on it, but you get good plans, and you're also able to actually pull in information much easier from the ether. I call it the ether. The ether, you're able to pull in from ether. Yeah, ongoing joke. But yeah, you're able to pull in knowledge. So you just know things. It's like and there's probably other things too. I really strongly feel you're empathic. So you kind of have all of it, and to a degree, and it's all going to work in a system of however it's going to fit at that particular time during a transit. And eventually, if you really, really, really wanted to, you could start doing stuff. It's literally like just listening to your thoughts and learning to discern the difference between this thought, this, and, you know, interference, and then what's coming from the divine.
Okay.
I mean, but yeah, you're definitely witty. But it's also too, you don't show people a lot. You don't show people how smart you are.
No, that's true.
Yeah,
that's very true. Because a lot of perception about me is that I'm dumb from people that I know. So
right. But internally, and I'm not trying to bust your balls here, but behind closed doors, you're very much in tune with what you know what you know, and you're confident in that. But you do keep that in your private life. But the fire sign, you know, even with Sagittarius, that might be what kind of balances you out, because you have fire and air. Think about it. You have fire and air. Well, if you add too much air to fire, what happens? If you
more fire.
If you take away that, you know, air, what happens? No fire.
No fire.
Right. So there is a balance between your night and day. There's a balance that you have to discern. Having that Leo rising sign though can throw kind of the double fire aspect where you're snuffing out that air. So sometimes you can let things get ahead of you.
Yes.
And like that kind of stuff too.
Mhm.
So I mean, just from those three signs, I can tell a lot about you, honestly. That's why, like, if you're not open to sharing your astrological chart with anybody, don't, because certain people can I mean, I'm trying to be kind of funny here. I can in a way peer into people's innermost thoughts and feelings just being intuitive and a psychic, but I don't do that because it's intrusive. I don't do that unless I worry about somebody's intentions towards me, like in a not necessarily online setting, like in a personal, like my personal life setting, or somebody asked me to. So, I mean, you can do that. But if you give me your astrology chart, I'm still not amazing. I still consider myself a baby astrologer. I'm not like the amazing luminary Luna Beams astrologer. No, but I really try hard and I'm trying to learn and I've been learning for a long time, but I can see your soul. So don't give me your chart if you don't want me to see who you really are.
Okay. All right. Well, we still got to
I'm being
do
silly, but
right. No, I know. We still got to do the reading that we talked about last time. So I would like to
yeah.
do that. Obviously, we're not going to record it, but
Yes.
I would like to figure out when you want to do that because I'm interested in doing that. So
Would you want to do it on your channel, or do you want to come over to the dark side with lights at midnight and do it there? Da 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 da.
Your fingers.
I'll come over to you.
Okay.
That's fine.
10-4.
So Emily, how did Chastity's reading for you? How did that help you with your
So
gifts?
it actually helped me identify my strengths. And once I understood my strengths, it was so much easier to practice them and hone in on that. And because of that, I feel like I have grown so much. Like without that, I definitely would not be where I am right now.
Awesome. I'm so glad you guys met each other, and I'm so glad that I met you guys after you met each other because this has been fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's great to meet, super awesome, cool people that kind of, it's like we're meeting our tribe. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Essentially. So I don't know if I asked you guys last time, but do you believe in Bigfoot?
Yes, I've met him.
You did?
Yeah.
Did you shake his hand?
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Well, tell me about it, please.
So, okay, I was doing a meditation while I was talking to my friend, and it was just, and Chas, you know who this friend is. You did a chart for her, but basically, I kind of wanted to see what was going on with her, and I was meeting her guides, and then we kind of had like, her guide was training I don't know what you want to call it, but one of her guides was training a spirit to work with them, and I offered to work with them too and have like this comradeship thing. But so while that was going on, I was doing this meditation, and I call it a Sasquatch, but y'all call it a Bigfoot.
I call them both.
To me, it's the same thing, really. But yeah, it was really cool. And it was funny because I was like kind of on a cloud. And I was like, wait a minute, are you Sasquatch? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, no. Because I was like, am I hallucinating? But then I was like, no, I'm in a meditation. Like, I had no intention to meet a Sasquatch or anything. I was just trying to focus on her stuff. And then the Sasquatch thing came in. And I was like, yo, this is so cool. But I learned that they're interdimensional and they can phase in and out of our plane. So
yeah, that's the ongoing thing. Everybody's like, oh no, they're flesh and blood. No, they're paranormal. But like, to be interdimensional, you don't have to be just paranormal or just flesh and blood. You can be both. That's how I look at it anyway. I have not seen or met a Bigfoot, so that's intriguing.
The whole time I've been sitting here and I'm like, Tenacious D, Sasquatch is my daddy and he's got to protect me.
That was like my son's favorite part of that whole entire movie. Yeah. And I know it's a little inappropriate for children, but they loved it.
See it anyways.
Yes. They actually went to a Tenacious D concert together. My kids with my ex-wife, so that was fun.
There's a reason. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was going to say there's a reason Emily deals with stuff like that. I can see stuff like that in a distant perspective, but I don't let stuff like that get close to me, because you can ask Emily, like when I see something kind of outside of the norm, I automatically go into like mode, ready to take it the fuck out. You know, and I'm like, we had that happen when I went around and was like doing some energy work in and around her body because she was having problems at work and was sick and stuff. And I was like, it was her birthday. And I'm like, I don't want her to feel bad. I'm going to go pay her a intuitive visit. And I did. And for some reason, I know this sounds super crazy, so y'all just flow with this. I did like a circle around her body, and when I got to the back, there was like this black dragon that was just sitting there like this, and I was like, fuck, and just so there's a reason Emily deals with shit like that and I don't. So that's why we make a perfect couple. Well, we're not together, y'all. We live apart. We're just friends. Okay.
So I assume you don't astral project then, or you don't try to. Oh, you do?
I do. I just it's a lot different than Emily's experiences. Like I'll go places, like a lot of times it's me doing work in like astral realms for protection. And I mean, I see creatures and all kinds of stuff, but as far as astral projecting, the only type of astral projecting that I normally allow myself to do when I'm awake is to help clients. Like sometimes it's like I'm flying through tubes in space, like a literal tube. That happens a lot more when I'm actually like on the verge of that in between state, but not asleep. We're on the awake side, and I can kind of trigger that in a way. Sometimes I don't have to at all. But so like I do it in a sense of like there's paranormal activity or something of the such, I actually astral travel to the location of the person, and I can eat for their dreams. Like if somebody has bad dreams, it's like I can see their dreams through their eyes. Like a dream. I don't know if that's like a dream walker. I'm still figuring all this shit out, y'all. Please don't come for me. But like truly, like there's books for it, but where's the manual? Give it to me. You know what I'm saying? We are creating the manual. That's part of our mission is to help create the manual for people so they can have assistance and understand how things work from our perspective. But yeah, like I'll see the stuff in the client's home. It might be, think of the further, you know what I'm talking about in the movie Insidious? I think it's called the further. It's kind of like that, especially when I'm dealing with darker entities. But if there's not really any darker entities around, then I'll see normal stuff like the paint on their walls. Like my client that I just worked with, I saw her room. I saw where her bed was. It wasn't flipped this time, Emily, though, believe it or not, because normally it'll be flipped in reverse for whatever fucky reason. But I saw where her windows were. I saw where her furniture was for the most part, but I can't see people's belongings. Like I see basics.
Okay.
And colors and descriptive things and placement. And the only time I'm ever, I guess you could say, wrong. Sometimes I get it a little off because things in spirit don't translate to things here in the physical because you're thinking about another space. So like if you got a room full of junk, then you're not, I'm not going to see all your junk. It's like I'm not going to see you washing that dish or scratching your ass or anything. So don't worry about that. But yeah. Y'all know I'm off the chain a little bit sometimes. Tell me calm down if I need to. But
so how long does it take in meditation for you guys to project?
It's kind of like immediate sometimes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of want to try to do it, but I'm also do you guys ever get afraid of something taking over your body while you're out of it?
Because I've had so many experiences where things have tried to possess me, but it wasn't because I was astral projecting. it's just because they're a-holes and they're like, hey, I think I'm gonna try to do this because I'm evil. But it's kind of like you have to give the permission, and as long as you fight back, most times they're not going to be able to possess you, but you have to be strong enough to not give up. That's the key.
I got you.
At
Yeah.
least.
I got you. All right. So I think that's the time for me tonight. So if you guys want to come back on again, I would love to have you. Obviously, I feel like we could talk for hours. Last time we almost didn't stop. So, anyways, do you guys have any actually, I don't know, and you know what? I'm just gonna ask you because I don't know, can't remember if I asked you last time because I haven't listened back and edited it. So I will ask you now. Are you guys feeling fulfillment in the path that you are currently on?
Yes.
100%.
Perfect.
I know it's my purpose, and I've not been able to work due to like back problems that I have. And Emily's it's odd because Emily's in the same position, but what it's allowed us to do is focus more on this and help people. Like it's rewarding in a different way than it is even in like just physically. It's different than just helping somebody like in the physical, like helping them change their tire, or just that rewarding feeling you get. It's rewarding on all three levels. And I mean, that can be too in the physical, but that's the only way I know how to describe it. It's like, I don't know. It's really cool. It's really
kind
cool
of
that we can help
like
people.
not many people can do it. So it kind of has like that element of, I don't want to say it in like an egotistical kind of way, but it kind of feels good in the way that we're some of the only people that can do what we do, which obviously we want more people to be able to do what we do because we don't want anybody to be in danger and, being under any hauntings. But it's kind of like you're one of the only people in a certain specialty and you do it well, but then you also have like when you succeed, the gratitude of the person you're helping and all that. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of all that stuff too. I just am happy if I can successfully help somebody with their issues.
Yeah. One of the hardest things for me, it's in a way it's hard, but it's the inevitable. One thing that everybody needs to understand is there's a reason we have darkness and there's a reason that we have lightness, and that's one thing about Lights at Midnight.
Yep.
We understand that you have to go through the darker times to appreciate the light. It's just, some people get so caught up into what's happening and they may have abilities, or they're creating thought forms, or they actually have a legit haunted person, haunted place, haunted object, and to see people have to go through that when people reach out to us, they're not ready for what, they need to do. And therefore they stay in that lower vibration. And that's some of the hardest parts of this, and of course we want to help as many people as we can, but we're only 1 and 2 people. There's only, we do this individually, but we do it together.
Yeah.
So I definitely vibe with what Emily was saying, but I did want to give a contrasting statement because it's not all, because we're dealing with constant bombardment of negativity. When I deal with a client, I take on their haunting in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like and I'll experience the things they're experiencing, and I haven't quite figured out if it's just spirit allowing me to do that, and it's not like just coming here, because if it come here, I'd start taking on all of that. It's almost like I just experience what they experience. I see things in my house. Like we have to deal with that kind of stuff too. So there is a positive and negative to all of it.
Okay.
Overall rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
Good. All right. So that's the show, everybody. If you have any stories or anything spirituality, any supernatural encounters, you can get me at wheretheweirdonesare at gmail.com, or you can follow my Instagram at where_the_weirdonesare. Ladies, please tell the good people that listen and watch this fucking show where they can find you.
So you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We don't have many people on there, and Twitter at Lights at Midnight Podcast. It's kind of different for each one though, because I know like There's one with periods in between the words. Chasity.
It's lights. Yeah, it's lights.at.midnight for like Instagram and I believe TikTok. We have a link tree. So if you just want to go on Linktree and type in lights at midnight, if you can Google us, you can type in lights at midnight, or you'll see it. But if you type in lights at midnight podcast, we actually have our own little banner at the top, at least on my Google, because you know how Daddy Google likes to make it just for you. But you can find us. You can definitely find us. Yeah, we have a YouTube as well. We're on anywhere you want to get your podcast from. So Lights at Midnight podcast.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time once again to come on to my little show here and talk to me about your experiences and astrology. Because I was a little like not 100% sure on the astrology thing, so, and I know we didn't really 100% get into your possession last time, so
Sure.
I really appreciate you guys literally taking the time to do this with me. So I love you guys, and I love the fact that you are here and doing what you do.
We love you too, man. You're doing like super awesome big things. So it's good to see that, and like your comic book and everything. We're excited to see that. And Miss Emily helping out with that. So thank you so much for having us.
Yes, I am so happy that Emily and I have connected, and we are starting this journey together. So hopefully within the next year or so, we can have some of those comics out in rotation. So all right, that is that. I'm gonna hit stop recording. Everybody stay weird.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.
Because in the end, none of us have very long on this earth. Life is fleeting. And if you're ever distressed, cast your eyes to the summer sky, when the stars are strung across the velvety night, and when a shooting star streaks through the blackness, turning night into day. Make a wish.